are back with the conversation. We've been gone for a while, but we are back. And I want to hit this topic because I had a chance to talk to some young people, some friends. Their child's are getting ready to go to school, go to college, and we start talking about, is college worth it? Now we don't look at this from both perspectives. But you know what? Sit back, relax, and let's get ready to talk about it. Come and listen, laugh, and link up on real life topics and subjects that matter to you here on the conversation with Corinthus Alston. All right. We are back, and we're going to talk about, is college worth it? And I have someone here with me. She actually helps counsel children and adults. So, it's not just one-sided, someone thinking about going back to school. Is college worth it? And I want you guys to put your hands together. I'll give her a big clap. Dr. Nayshon Mosley. Hey, let's bring her on. Hey, Dr. Nay, how are you doing?
I am good. I am well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I cannot complain. I cannot complain.
Good.
But this topic, okay, I'm going to tell you how this topic came up.
Okay.
This topic came up because I have some friends who have some juniors. Okay, they have some juniors, and they're trying to figure out this whole college thing. And one of their child says, you know what? I actually want to go to vocational school. I don't want to go to college.
Okay.
And so this heated debate came, went back and forth. And this whole thing now, going to college and not going to college, and people saying, hey, do you need that degree? But we both know to get in the door, you got to have it. So I want to talk to you about some of your experiences that you are experiencing with some of the young adults and adults who are thinking about going to college, and is it worth it?
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yeah. Great question. Yeah, I'm hearing that more and more. Well, first of all, thanks for having me this evening.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Love talking about this. So this question is coming up more and more, though, in my field of higher education. I run pre-college programs for high school students and adults that are considering going back to school or either going for the first time. And these are individuals, most of them may be the first generation in their family to go to school.
Right.
So which means that neither one of their parents have a 4-year degree. And they're really considering is it worth it? When they're looking at family members around them, making adequate living, can adequately provide for their families. I think that in itself is giving students reasons to pause. In addition to looking at the debt, that people come out, the complaints about student loan debt. When we grew up in the era when we were told, you go to school, you get that good degree now, and you come out, you get a good job with benefits and buy your house, and you're set. And nowadays, our children or our young people are being encouraged to explore, to take your time, try other things. And so I think one of the things that's coming up, in my opinion, is that I think we're starting within the higher ed field, we're starting to redefine what's college or what's post-secondary. We're using the term more post-secondary.
Post-secondary.
Yeah. So post-secondary is anything outside of secondary school. So anything beyond high school. So, whether it's a credential, a certification, an associate's degree.
So, and so most people don't know, you actually help guide people through the FAFSA process, right?
Yeah.
So are you seeing more vocational schools or the post-secondary schools accepting FAFSA as a way to help fund them to get this particular skill set? It's not a college degree. It's it's a skill set. Like, I want to be a not truck driver, but I want a mechanic. Auto, now they have these specialty schools for auto mechanic school. So are you seeing that?
So not only are you seeing that, but then you're also seeing community colleges bring those programs to their students.
Okay.
So if I choose to go to a school like Olive Harvey, they have an entire transportation and logistics program. And then in addition to being able to apply for the financial aid and use that federal funding to go to school and get those certificates and associate's degrees, a lot of state grants are supporting individuals that want to go and get some of these stackable credentials. So there's a program called the WIOA program. It's a workforce innovation program based here in Illinois, and they're providing nonprofit organizations or community-based organizations and even some schools grant funds to provide individuals funds to be able to go to school and take on certain careers. So, I think more than anything, we're seeing pathways to higher education or pathways to careers that are opening up. So it's not necessarily saying you have to go and get the 4-year degree or the master's degree, but we're creating certificates and stackable credentials that you can utilize based upon your field or your specialty. So whether it's healthcare, you can get a certificate as a certified nursing assistant, aka a CNA, and then you can continue to eventually build on that, making it a quote unquote a stackable credential. And not only are you building on it, but then you're increasing your earning power, you're increasing your career pathway as well. You're opening up more opportunities as a career pathway. So you see more pathways and more stackable credentials.
Now again, when you get that FAFSA loan, you got to pay that back.
Well, if you take out the loan. And see, that's people. And let me be clear. I'm not only speaking as a professional. I got a sophomore in college, people. I understand. I'm a mama and I'm paying out of pocket for college. But people assume, so FAFSA stands for the federal free application for federal student aid. And FAFSA in itself is free federal money. However, they will offer you loans through the FAFSA. Now, FAFSA is literally based upon your income. I tell anybody, FAFSA is when it's okay to be poor. FAFSA is when it's real okay to be poor or to not have funds or not have the resources, because the more need that you have, the more eligible you are for the free federal resources. Now, of course, loans you pay back, grants you don't pay back. So like the federal Pell Grant, students don't have to pay that back. Any grants that they may receive from whatever college or university they actually plan to attend, they don't have to pay that back. Anything with a loan, you got to pay that back. Scholarships, you don't have to pay that back. So I think students definitely are learning, because what's happening is with all of these adults that are going back to school now too, trying to earn stackable credentials or, move forward in the workforce, there's this competition. There's not enough financial aid out there for our 18, 19-year-old students. So you're competing with 20-something-year-olds and, 30-something-year-olds and 40-something-year-olds that are going back to school. One of the programs that I administer, we serve 19-year-olds and above. So our, average students are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that are finally deciding to either go to school for the first time or complete that degree that they started years ago. And so, everybody's competing for the same pot of money, which means there's some deficit somewhere.
Okay. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you know what? I want us to watch a video.
Okay.
It's about 6-7 minutes. But it's a good video. It's a good video. You get your thinking cap on,
right?
And let's talk about it. And because I think, it pulls out a lot. First of all, I want to give great, I want to give shout out to Above the Noise, who actually created the video. Hey, we're creators. Got to give everybody props.
Absolutely.
Right? I did not create the video. Okay.
That's
Above the Noise created the video. So I want to make sure they get credit when credit is due for making this video. But let's talk about it, because it was really, really interesting. And I think, we can pull something out, but it gives the different perspective. All right, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Oh.
College was presented as the only viable real option. Now, I eventually ended up going, I graduated, and I got my degree, and I'm here now, so I guess you could say it worked out. But then there's people like my mom who didn't finish college, and she ended up on the radio for 20 years, and that was her childhood dream. Now, these are two really specific examples, but they go to show that there are different routes and different lanes for different people. So today, that leads us to our question, is college really the best option? After high school, you've got to make a big life decision. Do you commit 4 years of your life and probably thousands of dollars to go to college and get a bachelor's degree? Do you go to community college or the trade school route? Or do you skip all of that and jump straight into the world of work? This is a really personal decision. We all know everyone is different, and what works for one person doesn't mean it's gonna work for everyone. At the same time, college is often presented as the best option, full stop. Why? Because like it or not, a college degree has become the ticket to access a middle-class life. It's not your grandparents' economy anymore. Back in 1950, a high school diploma could get you a solid, good-paying job. You could go work on an assembly line, save money, and even buy a house. My mom was telling me about, I don't know if he's my grandpa, my uncle, some dude from back in the day, and he was a butcher straight out of high school, and he was able to buy a house and retire like it was nothing. Today, not so much. Most of the factory jobs have gone to other countries where labor is cheaper, and the good-paying careers that exist now are more complex. So employers, a college degree screams, "You can trust me, I'm skilled. I worked hard for 4 years, and if you hire me, I'll work hard for you too." College is now more popular today than ever before. In 1940, a little over 4.5% of the US population aged 25 or older had completed 4 years of college. Since then, it's been a steady climb upward. Now that number is just shy of 35%. That's more than 1 out of every 3 people. Now, that's all great, but you're gonna have to pay for that college degree. Do you know how much that is these days? I mean, seriously, it's ridiculous. The average cost to attend a private college is over $35,000 a year. That makes in-state public college look like a bargain at $10,000 a year. Now, yeah, there's financial aid and scholarships, but depending on what your pockets are doing, that could really hurt you. College wasn't always this expensive. If you adjust for inflation, students in 1990 were paying 1/3 of what we're paying today. Maybe today's grads are at least making more money. Nope. New college grads in 1990 made around the same amount of money on average as new college grads today. That's just fantastic, isn't it? To pay the absurdly high cost of college, students are taking out loans, and that means debt. The typical student leaves college owing around $30,000, but that's just the average. For some, it's only a few thousand. For others, it's over 100,000. Eek. I was complaining about a couple grand. I couldn't imagine hundreds of thousands of dollars. Man. All right, so what are the arguments against going to college? Well, to start with, it's a risk. That debt we talked about is no joke. And it's not just a number on the screen. It takes the average person 21 years to fully pay off that $30,000 loan. That's not just an inconvenience. It can limit your ability to save up money to buy a car, buy a house, or even retire. And all the benefits you might get from that degree only matter if you graduate. When you look at the numbers, 4 out of every 10 students fail to graduate within 6 years. That's thousands of dollars down the drain. Definitely put me in that statistic. It took me 7 years to graduate, just so you know. It's also common belief that a college degree opens doors to great careers that you couldn't get without one. But is that actually true? Well, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York has been tracking this very question for years. They found that 41% of recent college grads are underemployed. That means they're working a job that typically doesn't require a college degree. So for those jobs, all that time and money spent getting a degree wasn't necessary. And the whole college decision process is a lot to ask from a senior in high school. Like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. It was really easy for me to make a bad decision. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. A recent poll interviewed over 122,000 adults and found that half of them either regretted what they studied in college or the college they went to. Come on, people. Life's too short for regrets. And remember, saying no to college doesn't mean you're destined to spend the rest of your life in a minimum wage job. You have other options. There are trade schools in a bunch of different fields, ranging from aircraft maintenance to IT technician to sound engineer. There are apprenticeships where you learn on the job while you get paid. That's a path that a lot of electricians take. And a lot of these jobs pay really well. The median salary for an elevator installer is almost $80,000. The average salary for a new college grad with a bachelor's degree is around $51,000. Honestly, I'd take either of those salaries right now. And for white-collar jobs, a college degree isn't necessarily a must-have. There's a growing trend where big-time companies like Apple, Google, and IBM no longer require college degrees for their jobs. Even some top executives are questioning college. Elon Musk, even though he went to college, talking about you don't need college.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all. If somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case.
But the people who are doing the work that we care about are figuring out what to do next, not following the person who told them what to do next. And the problem with most colleges is they are high school, but with more binge drinking. And high school is a series of tests that prove that you fit in more than everyone else, that you have done what you are told.
The A students work for the B students. The C students run the businesses, and the D students dedicate the buildings.
What seems to matter most is out-of-the-box creative thinking. College is what most of the job applicants have, so not going can make you stand out if you have the right skills. Peter Thiel, a tech billionaire who made most of his money by founding PayPal, offers a $100,000 fellowship to people under 23 to not go to college and instead pursue work outside the classroom. Not too shabby. I'm mad that I'm just now hearing about it, but still, not too shabby. All right, so we've been beating up on college pretty hard for the last few minutes. Yes, it can be expensive. Yes, it takes a lot of your time. Yes, there are alternatives. And it's easy to look at mega success stories like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, two billionaires without a college degree, and think, why not me? But those guys both got accepted to Harvard. And Bill Gates has said, and I quote, college is a much surer path to success than not going. The value of a college degree is pretty clear. 9 out of 10 new jobs created in the last year have gone to college grads, and those grads will earn $900,000 more over their lifetime than the typical high school grad. And while trade school grads might make more money to start, research shows that a bachelor's degree pays out more over the long haul. On top of that, college gives you access to career resources and internships that all give you a leg up in establishing your career. But college isn't just about putting you in a position to make money. It's also about the experience. You're exposed to new people and new ideas. You can make lifelong friends and take a bunch of different classes that might turn you on to something you never would have known about. And it can be a good transition to adulting. You're on your own, probably for the first time, but you also have structure and support if you need it. And the connections you make at college go beyond just the 4 years that you're there. Many schools have vast alumni networks composed of thousands of graduates. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, over 70% of all jobs are found through some form of network. A big chunk of that is people that went to the same school that you did. As a matter of fact, I'm working with 2 San Francisco State alumni right now. Hi guys, how's it hanging? Go Gators. When Mark Zuckerberg left Harvard to start Facebook, who did he take with him? His college roommate, of course, who's now worth $12 billion. Best networking outcome ever? Maybe. All right, folks, that about covers it on our end. To recap real quick, basic arguments against college are it can be risky because you can go into debt and might not even graduate. A lot of people with college degrees have jobs that don't require it, and there are other quicker, cheaper options that might get you to where you want to go. The arguments for college are that it pays out more money over time on average than most other options. It can help transition into living life as an adult, and it gives you access to an alumni network, which can help you with job opportunities.
And what you think? What you think?
I love it. I like the both sides of it, giving the pros and the cons. I do appreciate that. But I think my question, I think for me, I'd have to ask, are we asking the right question, right? So we're asking, is college worth it? But as I mentioned earlier, I think we have to redefine how we view college and start considering post-secondary. And so is pursuing something in a post-secondary realm worth it, because again, college is expanding. How we're defining college is expanding, or how we're defining post-secondary experiences are expanding. And so is college worth it for some? Yes. And for some, maybe they may feel like it may not be, depending on what their field is, what they want to do. Clearly, I work for TRIO programs, which are federally funded programs that are geared towards, promoting and pursuing and exposing students or low-income and first-generation students and adults to higher education. So I'm a clear advocate, and not to mention I'm an alumni from the program. Okay. But in terms of, I think the biggest thing for me, especially when we're looking at that 18 to 24-year-old group, is that transition to adulthood. It provides that safety net. It provides that cushion before we just tossing our kids out there and say, go get a job and go get your place to live. It provides a safety net. And like he alluded to in the video, there's a lot of structure there. There's a lot of supports. You can mess up, but you got that, student affairs, staff member that's going to be there to kind of help you get back on track. You have that professor that can kind of help you, get back on track with what your career goals are, or that can even expose you to internships or, opportunities to present research. And you know what I mean? So there's so many benefits. I think the benefits definitely outweigh the bad outcomes, right? Those things that, we look at, like the student loan debt. I'm one, the student loan debt. I think for me, my field, yes, it requires a degree, but had I not gotten a degree, I don't know where I would be. I was working when I graduated. I was working in social services, making $25,000 a year with a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And so, back then that was, more than 20 something plus years ago. But, nowadays, I think to be able to move forward, depending on your career, you need a degree or you need some type of credential or certification or license to move forward in your field.
Wow. So, I thought about it when I was looking at that video and I was looking at
Mhm.
it. Part of me says, I like how you say post-secondary education.
Mhm.
I think some, I, I think that's healthy to look at it from that perspective instead of
Yeah.
being saying, oh, you got to go to college.
Yeah.
Because that's how we
Mhm.
grew up. But I also see college as that place for you to learn how to become an adult.
Yeah. They're transitioning.
Where you have you know how to get responsibility. You got to get up and go to school. That's on you.
Mhm.
That's not on mom. That's not on dad. That's all on you. You got to learn to manage the little money that you got.
Mhm.
Figure out how to eat. So
Yeah.
those things you have to learn how to manage your time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Where sometimes you don't. So here's a question: how about
Mhm.
the hybrid approach now? Everybody is doing online stuff. I call that the
Yeah.
hybrid model.
Mhm.
But is that really? Are you really getting the college experience?
So I would say it's funny. I was just having a conversation with one of
Okay.
my
Okay.
staff members this morning about hybrid. And we are, because we run programs for high school students, we are
Hmm.
in the process of determining whether we're going to bring those students back to our college campus in the spring. And, I offered up a hybrid model. And the argument or the difference of opinion of it is that, the students want to be in person. They need that connection. We're a connected people. We
Okay.
thrive off of our experiences with one another, right? And so our students are missing that. They've been missing it for the past 2 years almost. And so creating that interconnectedness, I think it works for some people that don't need that. They prefer to be in their own little silo. But for those people, which a good majority of people are, I think they need that human interaction. And being in person provides that more than looking at the Brady Bunch screens.
Is it
Um,
pretty much?
looking at the Brady Bunch screens on Zoom. I think too, I want us to keep in mind who we've raised.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
while we were told what to do and we were obedient, we've raised, not in a bad sense, we've raised rebels. And by rebels, I mean we've raised critical thinkers. Even in school, our students are learning higher order thinking skills. They're learning critical thinking skills. Math problems look different now, right? They're not
Oh
just addition
yes.
and
Oh.
subtraction, right? They're paragraphs and you have to dissect the paragraph and critically think, what does she mean? And so we've created these critical thinkers that are creating their own ways of thinking and own thought processes, and they want to be entrepreneurs and start businesses and have multiple streams of income, and I don't need a degree for that. And so I want us to remember that we created them, and so now it's time for us as a generation and as a society to create space for them to be able to thrive in who we've created them to be,
You
right?
know
So
what?
creating these
I never
career
thought about that.
pathways. Yeah.
I've never thought about it from that perspective. Yes, we want you to go out, do your own thing. COVID has got everyone doing their own thing, right?
Mhm.
So, and you had people who are in college. Okay, they're at home. What do I do?
Yeah.
So that's right. So they went out and they created this, this, this. They took a skill they had, they started selling it, and now
Yeah.
they're actually making money. They're actually taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
And then now we're saying reintegrate. That's basically what you're saying. We're saying, hey,
Come on
you
back.
need to
Come on
come
back.
on back. And they're like, wait a minute, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing.
I don't need a degree for that.
I mean, I don't need a degree for that. I'm making
Mhm.
$80,000 right now, and I don't need a degree for that. So the challenge, I've never thought about it from that perspective. We have to make room for those, for this. I call that new generation that
Mhm.
hey, you know what? I can do this type of service and do this. I don't want to go in loan. I don't want to go in debt.
Yeah. My
To
daughter
get,
told me about 3 peers so far that are planning to leave college after this semester.
no way.
Sophomores, juniors.
Yeah. She just started, right?
She just started last year. She's a
Yeah,
sophomore, but some of
yeah,
her peers that are sophomores or juniors are like, "Yeah, I'm not coming back next semester." Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They're thinking and planning to leave college in the middle of their college, education. So our students are really contemplating this. That's just 3 students that she mentioned. God knows how many others are actually contemplating that or actually have made that decision to not go
Wow,
back. And who are they having those conversations with outside of their peers? Are they
that's
talking
true.
to their advisors about it? Are they just not registering for class and just not showing up? In Illinois alone, Black students, and this is simply regarding this whole education, this equity gap. There's this gap in equity
Yes,
for Black students.
yes.
So between 2013 and 2018, nearly 30% of Black students in Illinois, like that college going rate dropped to
Yep.
30% for Black students in
Wow.
Illinois. So they're not going to school for different reasons. There are barriers. I think our students too lack a lot of the financial literacy, especially for those that are first generation. So you don't have the parents that have the understanding of the
Yeah.
FAFSA or the process or can educate you regarding loans and things. And so I think a lot of our kids are lacking that financial literacy of being able to even thrive from semester to semester. So, he talked about all the students that took out the $30,000 in debt. A
Yeah.
lot of our students didn't need $30,000 in student loans. They took it out so they can get the refund check so that they can shop and buy clothes
Go
because
and
they hear
shop.
a lot about the refund check. And
Exactly.
that's just because I was one of them, you know? And I'm watching students or I'm hearing students or we're advising students that if you don't have to take out the full loan just because they offer you $5,500, if all you need is $1,000, you take out $1,000 because at the end of the day, you're going to have to pay interest on that and you're going to have to pay that back. And so a lot of our students are lacking financial literacy because they lack the ability to be able to see past right now. I want right now. I want to get this car. I want to buy this. I want to do this. I want to take this spring break trip with my friends. So I'm going to get my refund check. So half of that
Yeah.
$30,000 probably could have been $15,000 had they
So,
not taken out the maximum loan.
so do you have? So okay. Now I'm gonna take another twist at this.
Sure.
Do you think because this whole gap of we want to pay people more money to do jobs,
Mm.
right? So which I still got
You
a
said we
problem.
don't want to pay?
No, we do.
Oh,
But I
okay.
still got a problem paying someone $15 an hour at McDonald's and my food don't come out right. I just that's just me. But I do get it because you have that single mother who's actually trying to make ends meet who need that $15 an hour. You know what I mean?
I
And,
understand what you're saying.
and so I'm starting to see kids now. But here's the thing: I've actually talked to kids who's saying, you know what? I can go make $25 an hour over here. Why should I go to school? You know, and I'm just like, have we created this thing now where because we have increased wages, people can go and make a what I call a decent wage. It's better than
Livable wage, yeah.
it's better than that $750. You know what I
Mhm.
mean when they started out, and you got to remember, I asked a kid, and so to me they're children now. I still think it was kids. They were working at they were working at Chick-fil-A,
Mhm.
$18 an hour,
Mhm.
right? And they was like, well, I'm thinking about going to school. And in Indiana, if you live in Indiana, you could basically go to Purdue almost basically for free.
Mm.
And they were like, but I'm making $18 an hour. They're at home. They're not paying any bills or anything like that. And, so they're making decent, that's decent money if you think about it, if you're not paying any bills and you're working 40 hours.
Mhm.
So do you think that people now are looking at, they're going back to school, oh, this is hard. So instead of staying in school, they're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go do my own thing. I'm going to do my artsy, creative thing. Or better yet, I'm just going to get a job. They're going to pay me $20 an hour, and that's how I'm going to live.
Yeah, I definitely think that all of the above. To go back
Okay.
to your comment about the livable wage, even.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to be fair, we do need to pay people livable wages. We have people that are underemployed, so it's not necessarily that the employment rate may be high, but we have people that are underemployed, which means they have a job, but they're not making enough to sustain their households. And so,
Correct.
if I'm a landlord and I want to keep my cost of living at what the,
Mhm.
community or city, living wage is, then I have to be willing to consider the fact that the individual that I want to live in my facilities, I mean, in my building, also should be able to afford it, which means that even if they working at McDonald's, then the $15 an hour is going to help them be able to afford a roof over their head, a safe roof over their head. Then why not pay people? It's my decision to go to college, their decision not to go to college,
Yeah.
but they're working. They want to work and they want to be contributing to society. As far as an order coming out wrong, I could send a piece of paper in the mail out wrong, or
That is true.
mess
That is
up. You know
true.
what I mean? So I think mistakes can happen on any job. I think we're a little harder on people in certain industries. And so that's just my piece
I know.
on
I
that.
know. I know. I know. I know. And you know what? And I do. And here's the thing. So me and on the podcast, we have this debate all the time about the minimum
Mhm.
wage, right? It's a debate because part of me understand that we do need people to have the minimum wage.
Yeah.
That that there's just people, childcare, just everything, and yes, we do sort of pick on industries where you're like, hey, the service is not the best, and stuff like that. But then at the same time, you're like, wow, um, I like I saw a sign, and the first thing I thought in my mind is that if I'm 19, do I go to school or do I take this job?
Mhm.
I did. I did. I saw a sign. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
McDonald's sat down the street. They have a sign: $22 an hour, $1,000 signing bonus if you stay for 60 days, and and we'll give you. So we'll start you off with benefits that first day, and and if you want to go to college, we will contribute up to $5,000 a year. And the first thing I said to myself, if I'm 19, this is great. You know what I mean?
Hey,
This is
hey,
great.
I got one better for you.
Okay.
At my age, Amazon got me. You know what I mean? And they pay anywhere from 16.50, $18 an hour, $20 an hour, depending on what shift you work, $3,000 sign on bonuses,
Oh
flexible
wow.
shifts. Didn't I go get some of that? You know what I mean? So it's imagine not even being 19. So around Amazon, it was
Yeah.
all of those college age students. Some of them were putting themselves through school. So yeah, industries and they're helping you pay for school and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
why not? Why would I not go and get my degree paid for? I have
Yeah.
individuals that work for me. Our university will pay for master's degree or pay for degrees up to a master's degree. While you're here, get your master's degree. Why not?
Now you see,
Get it
you
paid
know what?
for.
You know what? That's to me, I think that's like the best hybrid. When I look at the
Mhm.
best hybrid model is that if you have an employer who's going to help you fund your college education, and at the same time you're able to sustain yourself, um, get experience, get like real world experience, because
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. I think that's wonderful. I know in some of the industries that we're in, especially like my industry, from the IT
Yeah.
perspective, I remember interns would come in. I would be amazed that they are like, they're going to get a master's degree in technology and have no clue, no what I call real world experience in the field.
Mm.
And I'm just like, wow. So to me, I applaud that, but I can see how if you're 18, you're getting
Yeah.
ready, and you like, I don't know if I want to go to college, and someone says, oh no, I pay you $20 an hour, I give you
Mm.
benefits,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
and because you got to remember, it's about the stress level, about the
Yeah.
managing the stress and everything of that. And
Mhm.
so, like I said, I was just really wondering, from your
Yeah.
perspective, are you seeing the shift of people saying, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go to school, but I'm gonna go to work and let someone else pay for it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely seeing a lot of that. And or, people that are stopping out, taking a moment, taking gap years, or, taking a moment to work, to save up, to pay for school so that they can have money. And then, many of them want to pay out of pocket. So this it's a variety of students. And again, there's so many different barriers to not even because my biggest thing is I'm really big on equity and access, right? So
Okay.
we're creating access, opportunities of access for our students through all these different pathways, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
through certification programs or state funded programs that are providing grants for people to go to school or get credentials. But it's one thing to provide access, but are you creating equitable opportunities that will help them stay and complete their degree or their credential? And for me, that's
Okay.
part of the challenge with, like in the state of Illinois, that enrollment rate, that enrollment gap where students are just not going to school because they don't have the finances, they don't have the financial literacy, they don't have the resources necessary. They feel underprepared based upon their school district that they've attended. So
Uh-huh.
there's so many different barriers on why our students aren't going to begin with. Forget I'm just going to go out there and get a job. But there's just so many other barriers for those that even want to go to school and just don't have the means or the resources or even the experience or, that mental resource to be able to just go to school, thrive, take advantage of the resources, ask for help. A lot of those can present as barriers for our students too. But um, I just think that many of them, they need that additional support. They need that extra layer, that cushion before they get out there and just start adulting for real. So they don't end up back on mom and dad's couch, in 5 years, so that they're creating a plan for themselves and they can do it under the safety net of being on someone's college campus. And even if you're going to community college, even if you're commuting, you still have that safety net and those resources available to you at whatever institution that you're at. At the end of the day, though, is college worth it? I do think it's worth it. I do think over the long haul, your earning potential is better.
Mm-hmm.
You have less stresses because you have, 9 times out of 10 can get a job with good health care, good benefits. And if I'm just kind of working an hourly job, I think college degrees present more salaries versus our hourly jobs. And,
True.
hourly
True.
jobs can be here today, gone tomorrow, depending on the industry. And you're without benefits, you're without, 401ks, or you're without all these different things. But I think, even then you're worried about healthcare, right? You have a higher stress rate. Amazon was taxing on my body physically, right? I was tired all the time, so it was, there are a lot of different pros and cons. Even though I love Amazon, I will probably go back at a point. There are a lot of pros and cons, I think, depending on where you are in your life, depending on what your personal goals are as an individual, what your professional goals, and what your family's background is as well. So.
Wow. Wow. So you know what? One of the things he said, and I don't
Mhm.
know, do you see this in your career? You went back to school, you got your master's, you got your doctorate. That whole sense of I called, you know, um, developing that community.
Mm.
That alumni community.
Mhm.
Have you seen that work? Have you seen that work where you went to school with someone like, hey, did you know about this? Do you think there's more opportunities from going to college, leveraging that alumni community, or those friendships that you make in college?
Absolutely. Quite honest, I'm serving on the alumni council for
Oh,
Chicago State, where I got my doctorate degree from. So even from my doctorate degree, I'm serving, giving, helping to provide scholarships. And so I do think that there are some benefits there. I get calls from my undergraduate, which is Lewis University in Romeoville. Students are calling all the time, several times a year to personally thank me for contributions and donations. And so I think students do feel a sense of connectedness with the alumni. A lot of schools, depending on the type of school you went to, alumni they're big, right? Especially at a lot of
oh yeah.
HBCUs. I just went to Grambling's homecoming with my guy. And my godson's already a student there. He's a senior there. But I mean, it's alumni from all back in the day. Like, they're huge. They go there, they support, they provide scholarships, they come together. They have like local chapters within whatever city they're from to provide support to their colleges. So there's a lot, depending on the school you went to. there is a lot of support now. Coming out, even I'm still really close with a lot of people I went to
Okay.
undergrad with, even people I got my doctorate degree with. Not so much as my master's degree, because I was kind of like, let me get in and out. But so I think on both ends of the spectrum, yes, there is some support there, and yes, I do think that it's even worth it as an alumni to reach back and give back to those undergrad students.
So you know what? So I do have a question. I think most people,
Sure.
and this is kind of not as college worth it, but it's the college in general. I think some people get hooked up saying that I need to go to a 4-year college and bypass the community college to get those undergraduate degrees, just to get the experience of college before going to that 4-year college, transferring in. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Do you think that's a good step? You don't know where you want to go, but you
Yeah.
know you want to go. So like there's all these 4-year schools, but you still know you gotta get the English 101, math 101, and you still got to get those basics.
Yeah.
And
Genuine.
is community college a good viable step?
Man.
We're trying to figure out that 4-year college that you really want to go to. So I think most people assume that you can't transfer out into that 4-year school.
And I don't know if people have that assumption. Like, I think a lot of people do know, they are aware. I think not knowing where you want to go or even what you want to study, I think you'd be wasting money to go directly to a 4-year school just to quote unquote say you have the experience. I know individuals that transfer from 4-year schools because they weren't ready. And so they come back. They leave all excited. We spent all senior year getting them ready. We go to prom send-offs and the trunk parties, and they go on to school, and then they come home for Thanksgiving and Christmas break, and they're contacting, my staff like, can you help me transfer? Can you help me go to Kennedy? You know what I mean? So they're trying to transfer because they're freaked out. It's a culture shock. They weren't ready. And so in terms of money, save money, go to community college if you can, knock out those general eds. Here in Chicago, there's a STAR scholarship for students that attend Chicago public schools where you can go, if you have at least a B average, you can go to community college for free. So why not save that money? You already don't have none. We just got through talking about people taking out loans. You don't have no money, but our kids are delusional. I don't know if they think they have money to grow on trees or what, but if you can save money, why not? And to be quite honest, that was going to be the track that my daughter and I had to consider because, I always say, my mother used to say, you're too rich to be poor and you're too poor to be rich. And so that middle income household, you're not poor enough to get resources, but you don't make enough to have the resources that you need to have left over to go to school. And so she didn't get a lot in financial aid. And so it was like, okay, well, where you going to go? And at that point we were really strongly considering, and I felt so bad because I got my degree and, went away, and I wanted her to have that experience, but she's worked so hard for it. But she wasn't the student. She was a B average student. So she wasn't that student with straight A's getting all these scholarships, but she wasn't a horrible student either. She's a great student leader and a bunch of other attributes that made her a qualified student, but just then we didn't get the finances. And so we had to contemplate and find a very affordable option for her and, take advantage of that. But we had our strong conversation like, so which one of these 7 community colleges do you think you want to go downtown? So we really had to consider that. And I think a lot of families need to try to have that conversation earlier on than later. I think this time of the year, we're getting our kids all excited. They're all applying to these different schools. They're getting all these acceptance letters right now. You're probably seeing a bunch of people post on social media about their acceptance letters. They just started completing the FAFSA October 1st. Many of them are not going to get their financial. They probably get about 20, 30 acceptance letters because what people don't realize is that with the common application and the HBCU common application, all you have to do is plug your information into one system and you can apply to multiple schools at once.
Wow.
And so with the Common App, you're getting multiple acceptance letters or multiple letters of interest. But when it comes down to March, when you start getting those financial aid packages and you start seeing all these loans or nobody's giving you any money or you have this leftover, out of pocket expense of $36,000 and you still got to travel to Florida or Alabama or wherever to get there, then it's time to have some real conversations, but we should have been having those real conversations 6 months ago when we were completing the FAFSA. So that's what I want. If I can encourage families to do anything at this point, while you're getting these acceptance letters, start paying attention to your resources, what resources the school can potentially give you, and what sacrifices are you willing to make. You know, do you want your student to take out loans? I was avid. My daughter's not taking out loans because I know what that looks like. She's not taking out loans. And so if we can't afford to pay out of pocket, then she might be saying, can you help me transfer to get it? You know? Yeah. So definitely have those hard conversations with students now.
I think you hit it on the head. I think some parents, they have this thing, oh, you're going to go to college, but they don't talk about the reality of what of the requirement and the sacrifice, not just for the child, but for the parent.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have multiple children and they're around 2 years apart,
in age,
now you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to be paying for college for 8, 9, 10 years. How does that look?
Yep.
You know, financially. And not, you know, and just having that conversations. But, you know, tell people, first of all, oh yeah, by the way, we got to talk about your podcast because people don't know that she has a podcast too. Okay.
Yes.
Truthfully Speaking with Dr. Nay. So tell people about your podcast, about how to get in contact with you, about some of the services. Just, you know, I mean, it's all about you.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Okay. I'm like, you know, we're going to go directly. There you go. There you go.
Right.
You got the floor.
So, well, thank you again for having me. As you guys have heard, I'm Dr. Nayshon Mosley, and professionally, I work in higher education, running pre-college programs for high school students and adults that are interested in pursuing higher education. But I also, on the side, I do have a podcast that is being produced by Corey, CKJ Live Productions, and it's called Truthfully Speaking with Dr. Nay. And Truthfully Speaking with Dr. Nay it started from my memoir that I wrote, Truthfully Speaking. Sorry, wrong way. Truthfully Speaking. And it really is it's a platform that I chose to create. I do a lot of interviews with individuals. Sometimes I do solo casts, but our topics are simply meant to just inspire the everyday people using everyday people's stories. And so we've had topics. We started in March. So our first show was in March. And so we're really just trying to inspire, encourage, and empower individuals to live life in truth. If you watch the show Queen Sugar, the Nova Borderlong's character used a statement where she says, speaking truths start conversations. And for me, that's what I want to do. I want to create space for individuals to come on, share their truth so we can have some necessary conversations about making some life changes. So that's the podcast. So super excited. On all the platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all of those. We're on every podcast platform that you can think of. And we're moving and shaking, making some changes and some tweaks in the area so that we can continue to push that forward. But I am on social media as Dr. Nayshon Mosley. That's DrNayshonTMosley. So all my social media, or just Dr. Nay, DocTornay. So Instagram, Facebook predominantly, and website is under construction. I also, again, am an author, so I have a few books, one of which is Truthfully Speaking, and the other two other books that I co-authored, Sis Stand on My Shoulders, and It Takes Money, Honey. So yeah, I thank you. I really appreciate you guys, taking the time to listen to me ramble about something that I love so much, which is helping people go to college and even providing real life conversations around, is college, is it really worth it? So thank you, Corey.
Wow. Now, you got to come back.
Okay, absolutely. Would love to
have some of these conversations because again, I think most people don't know.
Yeah.
Like, heck, yeah. I didn't know if you at least have a B average, you can go to community college,
Yeah. People perish for a lack of knowledge. So that's why we're here, right? To provide that knowledge.
To provide the knowledge and everything else. But again, everyone, thank you for watching the conversation. Thank you, Dr. Nay. Again, hey, check out her book. Check out her podcast. I mean, she's doing so much. I'll tell you, I don't know. She's doing so much. Again, thank you guys. And we will see you again. All right.
Bye.
Bye.